Louisiana is comprised of 51,843 square miles, of which 8,277 square miles are water. Our ports and maritime transportation systems are vital to the state's economic stability. It is estimated that Louisiana's 6 deepwater ports and 21 inland and shallow water river ports provide the infrastructure to support over 270,000 jobs and contribute over $32.9 billion to the state's annual economy. Louisiana ranks first in the nation in total shipping tonnage and handles in excess of 450 million tons of cargo each year. The ports along the Mississippi River facilitate approximately 60% of the United States' overseas grain exports and the bulk of imported commodities such as steel, concrete, coal, oil, and chemicals for industrial America. The safety, economic, and ecological security of our nation is greatly dependent on the secure use of Louisiana's ports and waterways. The United States Coast Guard is the principal federal agency for maritime safety, security, and environmental stewardship. After the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, the Coast Guard and the state's maritime law enforcement agencies recognized the need to expand their mission to enhance aquatic security. The Homeland Security Act of 2002 designated the security of the country's ports, waterways, and coastal security as the first Homeland Security mission. The Coast Guard designated this mission as their primary focus alongside search and rescue. This intensified port and maritime security mission required the building and enhancement of partnerships and the leveraging of scarce resources between the Coast Guard, state maritime enforcement agencies, and other law enforcement partners. State maritime law enforcement agencies have long maintained partnerships with the Coast Guard in order to meet a diverse range of responsibilities, which include maritime law enforcement, boating and water safety, and search and rescue. These partnerships are necessary to ensure public safety and the protection of the country's important maritime domain. The Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Law Enforcement Division is a statewide law enforcement agency whose mission includes providing law enforcement and public safety services throughout the state's land and waterways. While enforcement agents' general duties focus on natural resource and ecosystem enforcement activities, as well as boating safety and waterway enforcement, the Department's Law Enforcement Division provides a variety of additional services that include homeland maritime security, search and rescue, emergency medical services, education, and information sharing. In past years, Louisiana lacked a coordinated federal, state, and local strategy to provide adequate port and maritime security. In response to this need, in 2009, the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries initiated a working group comprised of federal, state, and local security stakeholders and developed the first ever Maritime Security 5-year strategic plan for Louisiana. An integral component of the strategic plan is the establishment of an interface where all of the state and federal partners can coordinate and build on existing professional relationships. Recently, the Louisiana State Police and the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Law Enforcement Division created a partnership that has enhanced their efforts to fulfill the state's role in port and maritime security. The Louisiana State Police, as a statewide law enforcement agency, ensures the safety and security of the citizens in the state through enforcement, education, and providing other essential public safety services. While state troopers' general duties focus on highway safety, the state police provides a variety of additional services that include homeland maritime security, air support, criminal investigations, gaming enforcement, transportation and environmental safety, and other areas of technical support throughout the state. Partnerships between the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Law Enforcement Division, the state police, and others enable the state to effectively enhance maritime safety and security in the most cost-efficient means by capitalizing on available resources and expertise. These collaborative efforts promote public confidence and ensure Louisiana's economic stability by establishing the capability to deal with events which could pose a threat to citizens and the state's critical infrastructure. The success of partnerships between federal, state, and local maritime law enforcement agencies and first responders depend greatly on communication, coordination, and training. The National Association of State Boating Law Administrators, or Nasbla, is a national nonprofit organization that works to develop public policy for recreational boating safety in all 50 states and the United States territories. Nasbla offers a variety of resources, including training, the establishing of model acts for legislation, the developing of education standards and publications. Nasbla addresses its mission by fostering partnerships among and between the states, the Coast Guard, and others by maintaining national education and training standards, providing members with critical knowledge and skills, assisting in the homeland security challenges on the nation's waterways, and advocating the needs of the state boating programs before Congress and federal agencies. Nasbla has recently released the Boat Operations and Training, or BOAT program. The BOAT program establishes a national standard for the training, qualification, and credentialing of maritime law enforcement and rescue personnel. Standardization ensures maritime agencies can interact efficiently while bolstering their ability to act as force multipliers nationwide. Adopted from the Coast Guard Boat Forces Training Framework, the Nasbla BOAT program is comprised of vital maritime training and management components, including system policy, training and qualifications procedures, boat crew qualifications, program manager roles and responsibilities, and boat crew currency and documentation requirements. The BOAT program allows maritime security agencies the flexibility to adapt the program to their unique needs and application while still establishing a framework of standardization that ensures effective interoperability. For example, an emergency operations coordinator can be confident that a Nasbla boat qualified person or boat crew can immediately integrate with their forces. From enforcing a federal security zone and protecting a high-value national asset, to executing search patterns and saving lives on the water, maritime security agencies can now literally work off the same page. The BOAT program provides training that will give maritime law enforcement and emergency responders a basic learning framework in order to become more proficient with skills necessary to operate in the maritime environment. The BOAT program is an accepted standard of training by the Coast Guard, FEMA, and the Department of Homeland Security. A key element of this training is the preparation of participants to become qualified in the tasks necessary for response to maritime safety and security operations. The Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Law Enforcement Division not only identified a need for this training within their agency, but also for their partners on the water in Louisiana. The Law Enforcement Division submitted a training plan to Nasbla and became the first agency in the country to receive accreditation in the BOAT program. This accredited training plan will facilitate their transition to the BOAT program, as well as the ability to provide this instruction to Louisiana's other maritime law enforcement agencies. The Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Law Enforcement Division hopes this training plan will make the BOAT program more available within Louisiana and help establish a minimum standard of training for maritime law enforcement agencies. Another initiative between the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Enforcement Division and the State Police is the creation of the Louisiana Maritime Special Response Team, or MSRT. The initiative is a cooperative endeavor between both agencies to provide a tactical response capability at the state level, as well as public and officer safety, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive prevention and response, and tactical support for federal, state, and local authorities. This partnership leverages the maritime expertise and resources of the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Enforcement Division and the tactical expertise and resources of the State Police Special Weapons and Tactics Team, or SWAT. The team is comprised of the 25-member MSRT and 65 members of the State Police SWAT team. Both teams are strategically located throughout the state and can jointly provide a tactical response on land, air, and water. In order to have a baseline understanding of the other's role, cross-training between both partner agencies was necessary. The Department of Wildlife and Fisheries MSRT completed a 70-hour basic SWAT course provided by the State Police. Additionally, the Department's Law Enforcement Division MSRT members were certified as tactical operators through the Nasbla boat program. The State Police SWAT members were certified by Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Enforcement Division instructors as boat crew members through the Nasbla boat program. This training includes crew efficiency factors, risk factors, and team coordination, first aid and survival, marlin spike seamanship, boat nomenclature, nautical terminology, boat handling, communications, navigation, and mission-oriented operations. In addition to response support for the state's federal and local aquatic law enforcement agencies, the Louisiana Maritime Special Response Team can be used to enhance the state's marine training opportunities. The Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Law Enforcement Division and the Louisiana State Police are dedicated to fulfilling the state's role in port and maritime security by enhancing interagency coordination, providing proactive and reactive support aimed at preventing, protecting against, responding to, and recovering from acts which may threaten the safety of the public, critical infrastructure, and the economic stability generated from Louisiana's maritime domain.